Okay. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Buller Show. Today I've got Franziska Iseli, and she is the co-founder of Basic Bananas. Now she's not going bananas, but she's from Basic Bananas. She's also has a couple of little side hustles called the Business Hood, Ocean Lovers, and Moments of Humanity. I'm not quite sure how they all sit in, but I think Basic Bananas is the main mothership. But in 2013, Franziska was awarded the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award, which means she's a little younger than me, but not much. Recognizing her innovation, creativity, and philanthropic involvement, which means she actually is a really, really nice person. She actually cares about other people. So Franziska is a board member at the Entrepreneurs Organization, sits on the judging panel for Singularity University, which is awesome, by the way, and has run think tanks at the United Nations to address the UN Sustainable Development Goal through entrepreneurship. Franziska is the author of 2 best-selling books, with a third one just released this year. And Sir Richard Branson wrote the foreword, and I hope you paid him because he's struggling at the moment with Virgin Atlantic. She is regularly featured across the media, including Inc., Forbes, Business Insider, Virgin In-Flight Entertainment. Not many people are watching that at the moment. Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, Smart Company, and a lot of others. Now, Franziska is not Australian, and that is actually maybe a good thing. She is a Swiss-born, or Swazi, as she likes to call herself, and is known for her down-to-earth attitude, infectious energy, integrity, and courage to take the lead. Welcome to the show, Franziska.
Thank you so much. Great introduction. Thanks, Jeff. And just 2 comments on the, I'm not going bananas. I am going a little bit bananas with this whole pandemic, but staying calm, of course. And no, I didn't pay Richard Branson, but I probably should send him a little bit of money.
Yeah, I think he needs a bit of help at the moment. Yeah,
he's an amazing human. I didn't have to pay him. He was generous. Super.
That's great. So, Franziska, this is a question I like to ask about people that come to Australia, because I've interviewed people that come to Australia that are English. We let them into the country, even if they aren't convicts. That's really important.
I know. Why wouldn't you let them in? Yeah. Well, I'm always surprised why you would let in people, from England. Yeah,
I know. Well,
I'm English, and so I shouldn't be that cheeky.
Well, we let them in because we're just, nice people, really. So, but we let them in even if they're actually well behaved, because, as we know, Australia started with the convict settlement. Well, yeah. Some people do, a lot of people don't. But we've actually interviewed some of the great people from Vietnam. Lovely lady, Wen Trong. She was an immigrant to America, then to Australia, and started a business and succeeded here. So it's really great to have someone who's from the other side of the world. And so why did you leave Switzerland? Like, it's beautiful. Like, why come to Australia?
I know. It is beautiful. And I'm really grateful, obviously, to be a Swazi now. So long story short, this is where I believe it started. I was 16 when I went to Costa Rica for a year. Did an exchange year in Costa Rica, went to school or high school or something as a 16-year-old, living with a local family. And I met, it was a student exchange program, and I met a lot of Australians there that did the same thing, but they were 2 years older. So they were 18, I was 16. And I just connected with, I've never met really that many Australians in Switzerland before that. And I just connected with Australians. I'm like, these guys are crazy. I was 16 or 18. Also, I'm Swiss, Swiss, we're quite behaved, and we're culturally a little bit different. And
you are very well behaved normally, the Swiss, right? Yeah.
We're pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
And I maybe did not fit in that sense because I didn't always behave so well. But then I met these Aussies. I'm like, these are my people. Where are they coming from? Oh, they're coming from these big islands and on the other end of the world for me. And I just connected with them, and I was like in awe. I'm like, they're crazy. They're so crazy. I've never met people like that. And I just connected. And then my best friend was an Aussie girl. And
Right.
apparently I said to her back then, this is when I was 16, I said to her that one day I will become an Aussie. And that was just a throwaway comment. And then when I was 23, I applied for a scholarship to go to Sydney. I've never been in Australia then. That was, 5 years late. Oh, no, more like 7 years later, maybe, by the time I went home. And I got accepted to go to Sydney University for a year. And then I got stuck here. I fell in love with the country. I also was dating an Australian. And yeah, I just love this place because I love the ocean. And it's maybe culturally, I do miss Europe a lot. I go home, not right now, but normally I go home at least twice a year. And that's how I ended up here. When I was 23, got a scholarship, when he came for a year, went home to finish my degree. Because in Switzerland, you don't pay for your university. It's government funded as long as you're getting good marks and you're working, studying. And so I went back, and then I moved back here 14 years ago.
Right. So we seduced you. That's what the Aussies do.
Yes, you did. And yeah, I still love it here. I love nature here. I live on the beach. In Switzerland, nature is also really beautiful. But for me here, it's almost like never-ending summer compared to Switzerland. It's winter here right now, but this feels a little bit like summer. I still go surfing most days, and I go swimming. I swim a lot in my swimsuit, and all my neighbors are like, "Yeah, there goes the Swazi. She's used to the cold. This is summer for her." They're all like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is summer."
Yeah, well, we really don't have winter here. As like, what's the coldest it gets to? Like about 15 degrees most days, really, up to 20. So yeah, it's I've traveled a lot, and one of my favorite places is Europe. I just love the cultural, I love the history. I spent 3 months in Europe actually last year, and so I loved it. I feel very much at home there. So I spent 4 weeks in Lake Como, and went to Croatia, and we went up into.
Did you meet the hot guy called that has a house there? The guy that does all the actor. The name just slipped.
Which one? Yeah, George.
Yeah, George Clooney. He has. Did you meet him? He has a house there.
I drove past his house. He didn't invite me in. I don't know why. I was a little disappointed, really, but. But I tried to look like George. Actually, grew a little bit of a George sort of growth, but I got to see George's place from the outside, right? So, but Lake Como is pretty cool, but very busy. But enjoyed a lot of Italy for a few weeks, and then went and explored some other parts of Europe as well. So, George is cool. When we all grow up as guys, we'd love to be George.
Really, that's so funny. I didn't know that, but I can see that because he's decent. He's very, he's quite masculine. He's smart. He's not only doing acting. He's got businesses. I think he's got a tequila brand too, doesn't he? Yeah. But I agree on you about Europe. Europe definitely. I feel like it's got such a depth of culture, and every country has different habits and obviously different languages. And when I was a kid growing up, the coolest thing for us was that every country had different currencies. So as a kid, you would go into you just drive across the borders from Switzerland. In a few hours, you're in France or Italy, or you go through France and then you're in Spain, Portugal, Germany, anywhere, Austria. And every country, when I was a kid, had different currencies. So it was very exciting. Now we have the euros in most countries, not in Switzerland. But it used to be even that was, it's just so much variety in people, cultures, and how we behave and what we eat. And yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. One of the best things I enjoy about Europe, and we're not talking about entrepreneurship at the moment. I know we should be, but we'll get to that shortly. Yeah. Just hang on, guys. Okay, Uma, listen seriously. We're going to get to talking about, some serious shit soon. But at the moment, we're actually just going to talk about travel and being human. What I love about European cities is they're designed for people. Because what happened is these cities happened when there were no cars. So when you go to a European city, they've got cobblestones. They've got very narrow streets, which you can hardly fit a car down. In fact, you can't take cars into some of the villages in Europe. They're designed for horses. And
Or
horses
motorbikes.
or motorbikes, yes. And humans with small hips, because it's very narrow alleyways, right? So,
Very.
yeah. So I'd love going to Europe because there's no cars in the streets a lot of the time when you get into the villages. So you can go to the old town areas of Europe and you can just walk around without being worried about hit by a car or listening to the hum of high freeway speed cars going past. So I really, really love that. I love the intimacy of European culture and its intimate cities where there's just history and a story around every corner. Like even London, for example, you walk past houses with a blue sign on the side, and that's the historical home, like of William Shakespeare. So you just have this history seeping out of the stones, and I love it. So I feel very much at home.
You know, the other thing, maybe the last thing, and then we can jump into entrepreneurship. And this is sort of almost entrepreneurship. Actually, we can segue this because the other cool thing about European cities is that it's got this community. The way it's built, it's got this way that it feels like a community. So most cities, as you have noticed, we have the center bit where there's a plaza,
town square.
Piazza.
Town square.
Yeah, town square, exactly. And then you have little shops around there where you have your bakery, you have your butchery, you have your ice cream shop, you have your restaurants, and people just hang out. People just gather and they come and they get their things from the we generally, it's changed a little bit, but we generally don't go to big grocery stores. In Switzerland, we never had malls growing up. I never went to a mall until I moved to Costa Rica at 16. Now we do. But you buy your stuff in different shops and it gets people to come together. And that's obviously when it comes to running a successful business, as you have done in your businesses, it's all about building community.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, it's, and in 2020, we're trying to avoid malls because that's where danger lies, apparently, with COVID. So let's segue into, you moved to Australia. You arrived, what year did you arrive, Franziska?
In 2005 was the first time I came over.
Okay, so you turned up in Australia and you're going, okay, so what do I do? So what happened when you turned up in Australia? Like, did you go, oh, I'm just going to be a beach bunny. I'm just going to go and spend time at Bondi and Narrabeen, or Manly. So what happened when you arrived?
Yeah, I wish I could have just been a beach bunny. If I had money, I would have back then. Now I can, but back then, if I had money, I would have just been a beach bunny. But I had to finance my life too. And so I arrived. I knew a guy that I met in Costa Rica who lived in what's his Glebe, in Glebe. So I stayed with him in Sydney for a week in Glebe. Then got a shared flat in Pyrmont. With a couple, and then I realized, and I bought a surfboard straight away as I came. Never surfed very much, didn't really know how to surf, but I just went and bought a surfboard, and just pretty much every day I could after university or before, I would jump on the bus and take my surfboard to Manly, and it just became a bit annoying to be on a bus with a big surfboard. And so I moved out to Manly, but at the same time also I was at university. I also had to somehow finance my life, so I just walked. I had done a little bit of bartending, but not much. But I just walked through Pyrmont and I went to these bars and I convinced someone to hire me as a bartender. And there was someone at Cargo Bar. So I just walked into Cargo Bar, had my CV. I said, hey, I'm here fresh off the boat and I think you should give me a job. I can do some bartending. My English was okay. It wasn't like incredible. So, but I'm very happy. I'm a very, happy person. So I was behind the bar, and the first few weeks, I'm really grateful. Shout out to all my fellow bartenders. I couldn't understand the accent. People will come. They're like, "Can I have a VB?" I still can't pronounce it. Can I have a VB? I'm like, "What would you like?" VB. I'm like, what is a VB? Oh, it's that thing over here out of the beer tap. Oh, okay, cool. So it was like, it was a whole learning experience, and it was hilarious. And I got slipped business cards from guys that I'm like, what's going on here? It's like, yeah, you know, why does everyone have a business card? And why do they just slip you their business card with their,
Well,
you know,
look, Franziska, I can tell you straight away what's going on with that business card, but I'll tell you later. All right. So, okay, keep going. Yep.
Anyway, so I was working in this bar and went to university, moved to Manly, and then just came in for work on the weekends, mainly Friday, Saturday. And then it got better because, you know, bar work, like it was cool, and you don't really earn much, but we got quite a lot of tip at Cargo Bar because everybody gets drunk and then they start tipping more and more and more. So that was pretty good. But then I met the DJ. The DJ of Cargo Bar, he lived in Manly, so he gave me lifts after work at 2 or 3 in the morning. And he had some musicians sometimes play with him. So he would DJ, house DJ, and then he would get a drummer or a trumpet player to support him. And I said, hey, his name was Phil. I said, Phil, I play the sax. Maybe I should do some gigging with you at Cargo Bar. I could play the sax. He's like, no way, really? I'm like, yeah, sure. So anyway, I got the job to and I went from maybe, I don't know, $15, $20 an hour to $60 an hour.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty good for a student to get $60 an hour for a 23-year-old back then. So I played some sax with this guy, met other DJs, and just that's how I then earned more money in less time, which meant that I could be more of a beach bunny in my free time.
It's maybe like in this current age, maybe, you know, that's the beach bunny term is most probably quite politically incorrect, but
Correct.
It's politically incorrect, I know. So I'm just saying to everyone, like, yes, it's politically incorrect, but that's what happens in Australia. There's beach bunnies and there's beach hares. Okay, so that's the guys, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. You haven't heard of that term before, have you?
No. I know beach bunny or like beach bum. I know more like beach bum. I don't really know these terms too much.
Yeah. Anyway, I just made that up anyway. It's just a bullshit term, really. So don't worry about it.
Okay,
anyway,
forget about it.
So you're earning money as a saxophone player?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're doing a marketing degree because you did a master's in marketing. So
And political science.
And what? Political
Science. Yeah, I did marketing and political science.
Oh, political science. Okay, right. So political science. So that's marketing and political science. Actually, work quite well because politicians are actually really good marketers, aren't they?
Yeah, well, not in Australia, but obviously when I moved to Australia, I realized that I don't want to have anything to do with politics because it's just I can't do this. Like, I can't follow it here. It's just we don't even need to go there. But you know what's also funny? What got even more interesting with my jobs here? So did the saxophone playing, and then in Switzerland. I used to teach languages at a language school after university, after high school. Actually, when I came back from Costa Rica speaking Spanish, I got a job. I was 18, got a job teaching Spanish and English, even though my English wasn't that, it was okay, but not that, not that good. Teaching Spanish and English to adults. And then when I moved here, after a few months, I applied. In Manly, there's an international school for foreign kids to come and learn English. I forgot the name of it. And I applied to go and teach English to these kids. I was 23 years old. I'm a Swiss. I had this big accent that I still have now. And I got this job teaching English to these kids coming from Japan, mainly Korea, and I believe some from China. And still now I have one guy, actually Korean guy. This was 14 years ago. He was one of my English students. Mm-hmm. He now runs a business in Queensland, and he came to my now business, Basic Bananas, as a student again. Right. So he was my student in English, and now he runs his own business. So he came to learn again. It was the most amazing experience. I'm like, oh my God, 14 years ago.
Wow. So you're teaching English as a Swiss in Australia. Yeah.
I didn't have any Aussies.
Well, how many languages do you speak, by the way?
I speak 5.
Oh, is that all? Okay. Well,
But
you're way ahead of me. I speak one badly English.
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. You're okay at it. I wonder
Uh,
how your grammar. Most Aussies are not very good at grammar.
I do know where to put a full stop and an apostrophe occasionally,
You do?
and a semicolon. But if I really don't want to do much in the way of grammar, I just write poetry. That's what I really do, because in poetry you don't need to worry about grammar.
True.
Well,
That's very true.
that's what I've been told. No, no one's told me that at all. I just made that up really as well. So, so you're teaching English, and you're not even Australian or English. So what happened next?
And then I finished my year here, and I applied for an extension. So it was a sponsorship, so I didn't have to pay the crazy fees that you pay here at university. And that was for a year, the agreement. And then I said, hey, can I extend for another half a year? Nobody else came out from Switzerland, so they said yes to another half a year of me staying without paying for the university fees. And then I went home, but I was dating an Australian. So I went home for a year to finish. I had one more year to finish my degrees. So went back to Geneva and finished my degrees and was still dating Christo. And then he said, okay, now you're finished. And we saw each other every 4 months. He would come to Switzerland, I would come here. And after I finished, he said, okay, now you're moving here, I guess. And I said, well, now I just finished my degrees. I'm going to go travel a little bit.
Right.
Like, okay, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go to Central America because I want to go back to Costa Rica. I want to go to Cuba. La, la. So he came and joined me in Cuba with my parents. My parents came for 2 weeks, and then we continued on. So my parents went home, and then Christo and I continued traveling through Central America, from Mexico down to Costa Rica, through Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, different countries. And it's just surfing, and we just had public transport, and we just went surfing everywhere. And I was only 24 or 5, I think. I was still pretty young, maybe 25 or so. And Christo proposed suddenly on a beach in Mexico. Yeah, and it was like, whoa, didn't see that coming. And I did say yes. So I said yes, and I said let's just not rush anything. And we then got married 2.5 years later, and separated 2 years ago. So we were married for. We're still really good friends. He's amazing. He's an amazing human. So we were married for 10 years. So then because I was engaged now to my Australian boyfriend, he went home early from Central America. I went a little bit longer on my own, and then went home to Switzerland, told my parents that I got engaged, and they were cool. They loved him, and moved to Australia and started working in advertising. And how I kind of fell into advertising. Obviously, I did have marketing background, and I also worked in Switzerland in marketing during my studies in a snowboard clothing label. I worked in their marketing department. And when I moved here, this is now maybe 13 years ago, maybe, I was doing some temp work just to figure out what I wanted to do for work and what kind of job I wanted to get. And I got a contract in an advertising agency that was just for a few weeks, but the CEO loved my work, and he then offered me a job in his agency. And I didn't really know that I wanted to work in an advertising agency, but it was a really good offer. I'm like, oh, this is easy, let's just do it. So I did that and worked in advertising, learned a lot, was amazing, and definitely learned a lot also, just practical stuff and strategy, and did that for a few years. And then my dad passed away 11 years ago. He had a heart attack out of the blue. He was 58, so he was quite young. And I was just suddenly thinking, what the heck am I doing with my life? I'm working in advertising, and I can do more with my skill. And so I left that career and started my own business, Basic Bananas, which is 11 years old. And I started that together with my ex-husband.
So why do you call it Basic Bananas?
Well, this is a really good question. So in the beginning, so when I left my career in advertising, I didn't know how to run a business. I had no idea how to run a business, but I knew about branding. I knew about marketing. That was my strengths. I hired a coach to help me with the business side of things.
Yep.
And she said, you can't call this business Basic Bananas. She's like, that's ridiculous. You have to call this something like Marketing Institute Australia or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. No, that sounds really boring, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
sounds very boring. It's not really my brand. I can't stand behind a brand like that. So I took some of her advice, but I didn't take the naming and branding advice because I knew I can make this work. And so we just wanted a name that is memorable, that we can play with in terms of brand execution, that we can have fun with. And we had two final names. We did a brainstorm, and the two final names, one was Tango Like a Mango, but that was a bit too long. That was
That
Christo's
is.
idea.
I'd agree with you. It is way too long. Tango with a mango. Okay, right. Yeah. So
Like a mango. Tango like a mango.
tango like a mango. Okay, right. All right. All right. Basic Bananas. Yep. Set.
So we just went for Basic Bananas, and then we rationalized the name, because now we also have a brand consultancy. You mentioned that earlier, and we do naming and we do branding and brand strategy. So we sort of did Basic Bananas a little bit the wrong way around. Normally you come up with a whole strategy and what does it mean and symbols and all that, the process. But for us, we came up with the name, and then we said, well, basic because we make marketing simple, and bananas because banana trees grow really fast. And that's what we help people do. We help them to grow their companies by understanding marketing.
Okay. So that was in what, 2009?
11 years ago.
2009.
End of 2009.
Right.
Yeah.
So Basic Bananas provides sort of mentoring education for on a marketing level for businesses. Is that correct?
That's right. So what happened is, when I was in advertising, and I've always lived on the northern beaches, then I found a lot of small businesses here, especially there are a lot of small businesses now everywhere, but this is quite an area with a lot of entrepreneurs. And I always met people with a great product or a great service, but zero idea how to get this thing out and how to get people to see it. And I realized that they can't afford advertising agencies. They don't have that sort of money that advertising agencies charge, overcharge sometimes. And so I realized that they just need to understand marketing. They just need to understand the principles, and they can do it. It's not that hard. You know that it's not that hard. There are a few principles, and you can learn it. So we decided to run a mentoring business that helps people with that.
Yep. So I met you because my brother's partner actually got you to mentor her and do some training. So, and by the way, she's doing very well. She's doubled her business in the last few months, and grown very well, actually. So you're obviously doing something really, really well here. Now, you've gone into other areas too, such as Ocean Lovers and Moments of Humanity. So tell me a little bit about Ocean Lovers, which is obviously to do with where you live. You like surfing. You're living in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. I'm just letting people know here that actually where Franziska lives is the northern beaches of Sydney, which has some of the most stunning beaches on the planet. Would that be right? You've traveled a lot. You've been to Costa Rica.
I've been to so many beaches just because of surfing, and I used to always, before COVID, I used to always travel and find the best places. And I come back here and I'm like, wow. Every time I come back here, and I've been here now for 14 years, I'm blown away. Every morning when I wake up and I go to my beach here where I live and I can see it, I'm blown away. This place is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I'm an Aussie, so I'm slightly biased. You're a little less biased because you come from the other side of the world. But when I fly back from speaking events overseas, and I fly back into Sydney, I fly over the Emerald City, as we call it, over the Sydney Harbour, and then I visit the beaches. I never take it for granted. I really don't. It's actually paradise, really.
It really is. I'm so happy not taking it for granted, because I think a lot of people are. And I even know a lot of Aussies and it's okay. Maybe they just don't care about the beach. But I know a lot of people that even live near the beach, they never go to the beach because they just, I guess, they just don't care, and that's okay. I think it's priorities. But I always say, like, I hope I never ever take this for granted because it's so beautiful.
Well, I think that's important if we do practice things such as gratefulness, to be grateful for where we are, and to actually stand back and going, okay, this is, and being aware, I think, is really, really important. As in going, wow, look at that view, you know.
Yeah, and just enjoying like the moments. You know, we're always hustling, and I mean, this whole pandemic made us slow down too. But normally, you know, I've noticed now even more before we went into more lockdown and less social activities, like always out and go, go, go. And now suddenly it's like, oh, I have time to enjoy this. And I had time before to enjoy this, but you think you have to do the next thing and the next thing. So how Ocean Lovers came about, you're right. It's very different, you know, like Basic Bananas, marketing mentoring, it's my expertise. And then the brand consultancy was born out of Basic Bananas because people that we mentor often came back with just brands and websites and stuff that was just not good. So we said, hey, why don't we hire one of my best friends, actually, Julia, who used to work in advertising, to run this. And so she's been running this agency for a long time. She's amazing. And then Ocean Lovers came about. Ocean Lovers is only a small business. It's a startup. It's a passion project that I'm focused on growing. It happened a few years ago. I was sitting in the ocean around Christmas, New Year, and I was just sitting there on my own, on my surfboard, and I was thinking, I need to do something about ocean conservation. And I need to, because there's so much plastic in the ocean, and you know, Sydney, we're pretty lucky, it's clean compared to some of the tropical places.
It is very clean. Like you can go to a Sydney beach and it's just pristine.
But it's not, that's the thing, like it is, like Narrabeen looks so clean. You know, I look at Narrabeen, I'm like, wow, it's so clean. And then we did a cleanup with Ocean Lovers. We sponsor cleanups.
Okay.
So most of the that comes in goes into ocean cleanups. And we had a whole group of people and kids and families come. And we went into the dunes a little bit here, and we found bags and bags of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff that gets blown away. Maybe we found a whole bong that someone left in the bush. We found all sorts of random stuff. We didn't use it, don't worry. And yeah.
No judgment here. Sorry, it's fine. Okay.
So we decided. I decided, as I was sitting in the ocean, I needed to do something for ocean conservation. I love the ocean. I need to do something. My whole thing in life right now, and that might change again, is I want to make an impact through business. Mm-hmm. I want to leverage my strength. And my strengths lies in marketing and branding. So I wanted to do it in a way, the whole ocean conservation thing, that I can use my strengths. So build a brand like Ocean Lovers that is exciting and enticing and bring people together. Not about pointing the finger or you know, telling people that they are horrible, but actually bringing people together by building a really cool brand. And that's how we started. And now we've morphed it. And then our first product was a surf suit made from plastic bottles. Right. We still have some. And now we morphed it into a marketplace where we connect people, ocean lovers, with brands that are already out there that have products made from recycled plastics that are good for ocean lovers, like surfboards made from recycled fabrics, fins, stuff like that.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with passion projects. They can turn into a lifetime business. They can turn into just an entire lifestyle. And that's how I started. It's like just an observation about social media. So
yeah.
So Basic Bananas is now. So this is the thing. I had a look at your website. You're doing a lot of real events. Now that's been paused. So, and you know, the current situation which we're living globally is a little bit more virtual. So what are you doing to get the message out and educate in the current situation?
Yeah, so before we couldn't do virtual events, before this pandemic, we were doing a lot of live events, in person.
Yep.
Yeah, small groups. The main program, the Clever Bunch, which Beth was in, is one that we would meet every month with people. And our mentors, we have mentors. We started running these workshops all around Australia, in Canada, West Coast US, Switzerland, and now we have a partner in Sweden also. And so we would do this face to face, in person, with our mentors. And then in March 2020, everything changed, and we were like, okay, this whole business model needs to change. And I had an eye twitch for like 6 months. I don't know if it's true. I asked my doctor.
An eye twitch.
You know how the eye twitches sometimes, the nerves?
Yeah. Like it twitches without asking it. Is that right?
Yeah, it goes a little bit like this. So I've never really, I had it maybe every now and then, but it would go away. But for 6 months, I would, not that much, like just, maybe once a day, it goes like a little bit like this. And it's probably a little bit stress related. I asked my doctor, said, hey, should I worry or should I ignore it? He's like, ignore it. I'm like, good, that's my style. So anyway, so then the last 6 months I've just been, hey, let's reinvent and change and turn everything virtual. And so the first few weeks of that 6 months were challenging, because also as a leader, you have to make sure the team is calm, because, team are freaking out because they see what's going on in the world. And then you need to make sure your customers are calm. And I sometimes felt like I'm the only person here that is not freaking out, because I can't. But then obviously my eye was because I had to maybe come out somewhere. So we had to change the whole thing. And the first few weeks were adjusting, and then the next few weeks the team started to relax and pull their weight, and really pull their weight. And it's now, I feel like there's always a silver lining, but we now do everything virtually. So all our training is virtual, and it's working really well, because our in-person events, they're always people come in for half a day in small mastermind groups, and then they come in for half a day, they go back to their business to work on the campaigns, and then come back again the next month. Now it's all virtual, and it's very focused. I feel like people are getting a lot done in these hours because it's so focused. There are no distractions. People are not having side conversations. They're working. And with Zoom breakout rooms, it works really well. So the change has worked really well for us. It's been great. And we've just been focusing on also providing a lot of free content for people that can't afford our programs. We do a weekly PJ party edition that is a weekly session, live like this with different people. And we do different things that are really helpful for people. So that's, we've changed. Obviously now we're at the moment we're completely virtual.
Yeah. And I'm in the home office and you're in the home office. You have obviously a office where people catch up as well. It's really, it's been fascinating to watch people's reinvention of themselves, businesses, like moving from delivering in-house, as in a restaurant, cafe, going to online, going to takeaway. And certainly I've had these conversations before as well. We're actually moving into look, all these changes were happening, virtual, online shopping, but it's been accelerated by the pandemic. It's like people going, okay, I need to reinvent my business. So virtual's been thrown into the mainstream. Amazon's just gone off the charts in terms of online stores. So it's, we as humans have been challenged to reinvent ourselves and reinvent our businesses.
Yeah, it's really, you're right. It's really accelerated. I have a lot of our members that say, look, we've had these projects in the pipeline, and now we've been really pushed to do them, because otherwise we don't have a business anymore. And so it's really accelerated a lot of the things that people were meant to be doing. And for us too, I've been wanting to do some of these programs virtually for a while, and we just never did it. And now that we can have people from all around the world. We have a much larger audience available now than before.
Well, so I'll tell a little bit of a story here that one of my friends who actually created the caricature 10 years ago and then did the podcast caricature for me, which means it's me looking like a cartoon character with a big head. My artist friend, John Haycraft, he actually had a joint friend of ours, Tex. He actually then helped him create and he's a painter. So he's teaching classes, teaching people how to do landscape painting and watercolors. He's gone online and like doubled or tripled his student numbers.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So what's really fascinating about this is actually a lot of us have been forced into, some of us, many of us, been forced into actually going more virtual, go more digital. And it means we can actually make a bigger impact on the planet, whether it's, like you with Ocean Lovers trying to help, save the planet, being able to reach more people globally with Basic Bananas. So it's accelerated the evolution of what was already happening, but everyone's just sort of like had it in the background because we're all comfortable. We're not going to change stuff. So
yeah. And you know what? The thing also that I'm finding is that because so many people are now going, yeah, okay, cool, I'm going to sell something online, or I'm going to, set up some stupid Amazon store selling something that is made in China for very cheap and using children to fabricate and la la. You can see how passionate I'm about this. And the funny thing, and I hope this is a trend, and maybe I'm imagining it, but I do think that the people that run businesses now that are providing good stuff, that care, and that are not just whacking something up just because they think that they can now make money online, that's very short-lived. That space where you just sell some random stuff that is not adding any value. Whereas the people that are investing in doing good stuff, good work for the right people, they're the ones that are going to succeed in this space. It's a very competitive space, and I see it all the time. People are like, yeah, I want to do what you do. I want to sell stuff online, and this is like 11 years. This is an 11-year project. So yeah, it's interesting and it's exciting, but people need to know that the focus still needs to be on value.
Yeah, and a value-driven business, and that's really, really important. And I can see your passion about what you're doing, and you can see the side hustles and passion around Basic Bananas. So what's the future for Basic Bananas going forward? I think you've opened some offices, virtual offices in USA, in Sweden.
We just started with
yeah. So what's the future for Basic Bananas? Because you're actually adding value to business owners as being like a educational marketing mentor to help businesses grow. So what's the future for Basic Bananas?
Yeah, so the future is following that model where we started in Switzerland with a partner 2 years ago, and then this year we got connected. A woman from Sweden approached us and said, hey, I got introduced by someone else, a guy that used to mentor with us, who then moved to England, and he knows this woman really well, and said, hey, she's amazing and she would love to do Basic Bananas Sweden. So anyway, we went through a bunch of interviews, and now she's our country partner. So the future of Basic Bananas is to have more people in different countries that are our country partners. We're also in negotiations with someone in the Middle East that wants to bring Basic Bananas to the Middle East. So we're just looking at how the market works there, and if the teachings that we have are applicable for that market, etc. And so the future is to have these satellite country partners that are running Basic Bananas in their communities, and we supply them with all the training and education and support and marketing and collateral, etc. That's how we are going to grow. And to be honest, I found with Basic Bananas or with anything in my life, I never really have to push it. It's just people just sort of find you. Once it's out there, even just now I'm talking to you, many people are watching this, hopefully, that didn't turn off after the first 5 minutes, then there might be someone who knows someone in some place that is really good at marketing and is a good human and wants to build Basic Bananas. Suddenly we have people that will come and say, hey, how about Brazil? How about China, etc. So I'm never really actively out there going, okay, let's do this or this region. It's always people coming to us, and then a lot of people are not the right fit, and then every now and then you find a unicorn, and then they are the right people to partner with.
Well, what we hope to do is shine a light on what you guys are doing, which is fantastic, and inspire people to actually grow their business in a very organic, powerful way, to actually mentor them, provide education. And I can just see that you're surrounding yourself with the actual passion projects that keep you excited. And it's great to see. And so glad you came to Australia. It's we welcome people that are passionate about what they do, and you obviously are. And I've really enjoyed hearing the story about what you're doing. And we'll share this on Spotify. We'll share this on iTunes. We're going to share this on YouTube, and we hope to get your story out to the world, because it's a term used, which is the Oprah effect, which is actually shine a spotlight, and that's what we want to do. So, yeah.
That's really kind. Yeah, I appreciate everything you do, and I'm definitely also very, there's always these sliding door moments in life, and I feel like it's so cool, because this is why I'm in Australia, because there were sliding door moments like Costa Rica when I'm 16, sliding door moment. I meet crazy people. I'm like, oh wow, these are my. One last funny thing. So at my wedding, my whole family came out from Switzerland, and my friends, and all their families. And my brother had a speech. My brother is 2 years older, and he's super straight Swiss guy, and super polite, like the quintessential Swiss guy, good man.
Okay.
But he's also cheeky. He's got a little bit. I was always the naughty one. They always thought that when something went wrong, it was always my fault. But actually, he often would instigate me to do something that was naughty, and then I would take the blame. So at the wedding, he's doing the speech, and he goes in front of all these Australians. He goes, yeah, I'm really happy for Franziska that she came to Australia, because she fits right into a whole bunch of people that are criminals. And my mom is sitting there, because about the history, and he's pretty much saying that Australians are criminals, and she fits right in. And my mom, because she's obviously Swiss, my mom, and Swiss people don't say things like that. So my mom's like, oh my God, he just said that. You can't say that. It's like, that's like really rude. And all the Aussies were losing it, because you guys can take humor. It's sarcasm. Aussies are not too bad at sarcasm.
Yeah, it's.
Right.
Well, it's. We enjoy having fun, as you discovered in Costa Rica. That.
Oh my God.
We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we're welcoming people that are actually a little naughty. And welcome to Australia, Franziska. It's actually really cool.
Thank you so much.
And I think that's where we should finish it, right there, right now.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone. And it's been great to have Franziska on the show. And we look forward to sharing this with everyone on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify. And thank you, Franziska. It's been great to have you and see your smiling face.
Thank you, Jeff. And thanks for everything that you're doing in this world too.